The cold hit me like punishment. Not just the kind that seeps into your skin, but the kind that makes a point. Warm light behind me, a dark street ahead. The contrast was brutal. 1 second ago, I was wrapped in comfort and money and expectation. The next, I was standing outside, exposed, breathing air that felt sharper than it should have. The heavy oak doors of the Monarch closed behind me with a low, muffled thud. No applause, no gasps, no dramatic spill of chaos into the street, just silence. I stood there for a moment, my breath fogging in front of my face, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure someone nearby could hear it, but no one looked. The city kept moving. Cars passed, a couple laughed somewhere down the block. Life went on, completely indifferent to the quiet rebellion I had just staged. I wrapped my coat tighter around myself, suddenly aware of how small I felt. This was usually the moment guilt showed up. It always did. Fast, automatic. A tight knot in my stomach, a rush of panic. You shouldn't have done that. You went too far. Go back inside. Fix it. Apologize. For years, that voice had kept me in line. It was my internal leash. But this time, it didn't come. Instead, there was something else. Something quieter, sharper. Clarity. Not the comforting kind. The kind that doesn't soften the truth. It cuts clean through it. I heard footsteps behind me. Jacob. He didn't rush. He didn't call my name. He just stopped beside me and held out the car keys. No questions, no judgment, no pressure to explain myself. Just presence. He opened the passenger door and shielded me from the wind with his body. It was such a small thing, but in that moment it felt huge. I slid into the seat, my hands stiff, my movements delayed, like my body was still catching up to the decision my mind had already made. He closed the door gently and walked around to the driver's side. When the engine started, the familiar hum filled the space between us. We didn't speak. The car pulled away from the curb, merging into traffic. In the rearview mirror, the Monarch slowly disappeared. Its lights grew smaller and smaller until they were just another blur among many. The drive home felt longer than usual. Streetlights passed in steady rhythm, flashing briefly across the dashboard, across Jacob's face, across my hands folded tightly in my lap. I stared at my hands like they belonged to someone else. They weren't shaking. That should have scared me. I had spent so many years reacting, over-explaining, apologizing, absorbing emotional blows, that this calm felt unnatural, almost wrong, like I was forgetting to do something important. I waited for my phone to buzz, for my mother's name to light up the screen, for Lauren's dramatic, wounded message, for my father's clipped demand telling me to turn the car around. Nothing. The silence stretched, thick and heavy, and somehow it didn't crush me. "You okay?" Jacob asked softly, careful not to disturb whatever fragile balance I was holding on to. "I don't know," I said. The honesty surprised me. "I think," I added slowly, "I just resigned." He glanced at me for half a second, then back to the road. "Good," he said. Just one word. No lecture, no reassurance, no attempt to make it sound nicer than it was. Good. Something inside my chest loosened, like a muscle finally unclenching after years of tension. The rest of the drive passed in silence. Not awkward, not tense, just empty, neutral. A rare space where no one needed anything from me. When we pulled into the driveway, I looked up at our building. 3rd floor, dark windows, unremarkable. No grand entrance, no valet, no chandeliers. It wasn't impressive, but it felt safe. I knew what waited inside, eventually. Missed calls, messages layered with disappointment, anger, and confusion, that familiar digital storm gathering strength. But right now, inside the car, there was nothing. Jacob turned off the engine. Neither of us moved. I stared out the windshield and realized how tired I was. Not the kind sleep fixes, the deeper kind. The kind that comes from carrying too much for too long. "You want to go in?" Jacob asked softly. "In a minute," I said. He nodded and waited. I thought about my mother's face when the folder slid across the table. Not anger, not sadness. Shock, like I had broken a rule that only I was ever expected to follow. For as long as I can remember, I had been the reliable one, the one who answered every call, the one who filled every gap, the one who absorbed impact so no one else had to. I built my identity around being useful. Tonight, for the first time, I chose to be unavailable, and the world didn't end. I stepped out of the car. The cold bit at my ankles, pulling me back into my body. Jacob locked the car behind us. We climbed the stairs without speaking. Inside the apartment, the quiet was immediate. No TV, no phone buzzing, yet, just the low hum of the refrigerator and the soft creak of the floor beneath our feet. I slipped off my shoes and hung my coat by the door. My phone sat on the counter, face down. I didn't touch it. Instead, I poured a glass of water. The sound felt usually loud in the silence. My hands were steady as I drank. No shaking, no racing heart, no immediate regret. That scared me more than guilt ever had. Jacob leaned against the counter, watching me. "You don't have to do anything tonight," he said. "No explaining, no fixing, just let it be." I nodded. "I think," I said slowly, "I've been confusing responsibility with obligation for a long time." He didn't interrupt. For years, I told myself I was strong, that I could handle it, that I was holding everything together. I set the glass down. But standing there tonight, looking at that bill, I realized something. I exhaled. I wasn't strong. I was convenient. The words settled between us. Jacob reached for my hand and squeezed it gently. Something shifted inside my chest. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, like a lock finally turning. I glanced at my phone, still face down. I knew what was coming. Accusations, rewritten stories, blame. They wouldn't ask if I could afford it. They wouldn't ask why it hurt. They would only want compliance back. And for the first time, I felt distance. Not anger, not sadness, distance. I flipped the phone over. The screen lit up instantly. Notifications stacked on top of each other. Lauren, Dad, Mom, everyone talking. No one listening. I didn't open a single message. I locked the phone and placed it face down again. "I'm not answering tonight." Jacob smiled softly. "You don't have to answer like you used to." That sentence landed harder than anything else that night. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall. For the first time in years, I wasn't rehearsing apologies. I wasn't preparing defenses. I wasn't making myself smaller. I was just still. And in that stillness, the truth formed, clear and impossible to ignore. If refusing to pay made me the villain in their story, then maybe I had never been the hero in it to begin with.